that one mine, Dallas? Or is that yours?
This one is.
That's mine.
What's going
Oh, see, look.
on?
See, now we're live. Hi, peeps.
Yeah, we are live.
La, 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 la. Oh, low network. Oh, you better do something about that, line one.
So we are live on the Marci.
Hi, guys. We're waiting just a second. We've got somebody that's peeing that's going to come join us.
It's not me.
And it's not
Don't
Tony.
watch football on Gene Key on Thanksgiving Day. Oh, I said
Yes, yes.
Watch
But
the
we
live.
can cut it out. We can cut it out. Welcome, you guys.
Yeah.
Welcome. We are at Marci's Lock and
The magical
Dallas, the
manifestation
magical.
mansion.
That's right. We're manifesting something really
There's a
good.
sexy Lauren.
We got like the sexiest people
Oh my
in
God.
town.
Check it.
Literally. Check it out.
Wow.
Check it out. This is gonna be entertaining, right?
Yeah.
At the least.
Right?
Yeah.
Wait, Tony, where's the accent?
Oh, we are very, very nice right now.
Very, very nice. He's surrounded by all sorts
That sounds more like Borat.
Right?
You like.
I like all the Russian beauties.
Yes,
right.
Yeah, I'll pretend to be Russian beauty. Right?
So guys, we have 3 cameras going
Yep.
on right now. So you see the
hearts already. My peeps
Hearts.
always see. I know my peeps are like hearts, hearts, hearts.
I know. My
Show
peeps,
it,
where
guys.
are you
We're
guys?
supposed to compete. Oh no.
Yeah.
No, we're competing
Yeah.
for heart.
Yeah, I like the loving. I
Yes.
like being appreciated. Today is appreciation. We're pure in appreciation.
Yeah.
So we're deep diving on some really cool stuff. I mean, when the best people come together, we might as well share some stuff. Look at that.
Look at the hearts
Look
on
at
my
that.
side. Hey!
Right.
Ah!
Ah! My son's coming in.
Right?
Go like Marci,
Yeah.
Marci, Marci.
Guys, okay,
Right.
now
Look,
we're only
fucked
gonna...
up.
My people are heartless. Come on, guys.
It's a Russian love, I tell you, it's a Russian love.
These ladies are crushing it right
They
now.
don't even know what we're talking about yet.
No, no.
But look at our hearts, like hearts galore. Oh,
Yes.
Katerina, our people love us.
Yes, they
We
do.
love you.
Guys, we
We
love
love
you.
you.
We love you. And
Lauren, you're
my-
like, hey, if my phone was on,
My people
it'd be
love
on
me.
fire. Yeah, they do. You
they
got a
show-
heart, babe.
They show it in a different
Somebody
way.
give him a heart.
yes, yeah, you guys. So we had a couple glasses of wine, or maybe 3.
You did.
Yeah.
I don't ever drink, but people always think that I'm the drinker because
Yeah?
I'm always like light and happy, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
You know?
That's
Yeah.
how you call it.
Happy,
Right?
light, and free.
Okay.
Yeah, I am light free.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about?
What are we talking about? We're talking about, you guys, the most powerful,
I love her.
powerful
We're talking about you guys.
inner map of
Yes.
your world. Yeah, it's
Okay. Tony's trying to jump in and he wants to watch it while he's in it.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Look at you, Tony.
I was trying to be meta.
Right?
Yeah.
You know.
Super meta.
But you guys, we're all gathered,
There,
and
you got hearts.
so many
Good
things.
job. Good job.
So many things are in common, and
Yeah.
you know, the one thing we're gonna zoom in is the most advanced transmission wisdom teachings of our times, called the
Yes.
Gene Keys.
Yeah.
So, did you hear that? I mean, just
Yeah.
pause for a second and be like, wait a minute. Some of the most beautiful badasses, beings of light of the world are gathered together. And you're telling me you're going to teach me about genetic codes, DNA activation, or being able to tune into your own internal map and divinity to be able to make it what? What does that give us, Katerina?
Make it real. You know, it's practical. This is the wisdom teachings
Yeah,
that not
very
just in
applicable.
your mind. It's something you can learn and put it in practice
Yeah.
and watch your relationships transform.
Yeah.
Your business blueprint
Venus
activated.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because you guys, we come with blueprints.
we're living the
Yeah,
vision.
we come with blueprints. We
Yeah.
come with the code. And from the moment we come into this life, we're being told to be who we're not.
Yep.
Can somebody write this down on the comment, you guys? Because this phrase liberated me. Because for the rest of my life, I was like, I'm odd, I can't fit in, right? But imagine from the moment you come into this life, you're being told to be who you're not,
Yep.
right? And the Gene Keys is giving you permission to be who you are in your uniqueness, originality, right?
Yes.
And
Let's
give you.
So let's
Yeah.
drop
So-
back just a bit because some people
Yeah.
might be like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah,
Jinkies?"
exactly.
Well,
Right?
I want to share.
Yeah,
I want to share one thought before we even get into this discussion. Is that somebody actually private messaged me the other day, asking me to if I would be willing to do this project of rewriting the Bible for today's modern experience.
Amazing.
And my response was, wonderful. I don't feel like that's mine to do, and yet not necessary, because there's other books that I feel that are new, fresh, and more relevant and
That are
relative
transitions.
to what our experience is now. The Bible is and was perfect, and there's been newer and fresher transmissions since that take us to the next level of experience of what we're needing now as we continue this evolution and transition. And one of those is exactly what we're diving into right now. So I wanted
And
to
not
give that
even
frame.
so. Let's make sure it's not religion based.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. of
Right.
course.
It's not like the Bible might be seen as a religion based
Sure.
transmission.
That's
Yeah.
the beauty, is that it's
Yeah.
not dogma based
Yeah.
or religion based.
We're talking about, so the gene keys is, I mean, you probably be the best one to describe what the gene keys actually is. You want to share?
Yeah, you guys, the simplest way to understand it, it's a synthesis. Imagine the best of the best, the cream of the crop of the wisdom teachings of our entire life has been synthesized, distilled. You know, like the essence. Imagine somebody makes a rose perfume. You know, how many rose petals do you need to gather? Thousands to get one rose essence.
To get like the
Condensed,
truth,
yeah.
the condensed understanding. Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
modern language,
Yeah.
you know, modern language you can apply.
Yeah.
And the best thing, you know, before we went live, I was like, you guys, what was your first response when you first saw your profile,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
your inner map of your being? It's
Yeah.
so precise.
Yeah.
It was freeing.
Yeah.
It's so freeing,
Well,
right?
Lauren's got her profile up and out, and you guys are talking about it, right? Like even talking about Bali, it's okay.
Come here.
She's like, where's Katerina? Where's Katerina? Where's Katerina? Bali's in love with Katerina, right?
The
We're
little
right here,
puppy.
baby. We're right here.
We have
So
a puppy.
it's when we were talking about profiles, you can actually put in your, you know, your birthday and a couple specifics about you that are your essence, and it pops out your DNA profile, your gene keys profile, right? Which is like your life purpose. There's these pathways that we go through to see our deepest, darkest shadows and our wounds and how they transmute into our gifts and then to our cities and our ultimate strengths. So I always say your core wounds become your core strengths. So people are always like, why do I keep getting triggered over and over by this? I'm like, it's because those are your core wounds, and we literally turn them into our core strengths. And so like when you have access to this and you see something like this, so Lauren, maybe you want to share like the first time you saw yours and saw how it applied to your life.
For sure. So I think it's really important. When I first saw a system like this, it was almost like a lot at once. It's like, whoa, this is me. It's like seeing yourself fully for the first time.
On paper.
Yeah, exactly. With numbers and words that just
Yeah.
activate you on a whole other level.
Yeah.
I felt it was really important for me to have a guide. So that's when I started talking to Katerina about the tool, about this system of gene keys. And she really was able to take, so this is my chart right here, she was able to take almost like the story of who I am, what's been written, but also these like codes inside of the system that allow me to do anything and choose anything based off of what frequency I'm currently in.
Yeah.
So it's important to have a guide,
Yeah.
number one.
Yeah.
And I'm still working with a few of these things. Every single day I contemplate on a separate archetype of my genetics, and it's just, it helps me. So can I tell you guys about one that like, it's kind of vulnerable to share this. So my evolution sphere, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about this one. It's almost like the challenge sphere.
The challenge pathway.
The challenge pathway of me and my life. We have, the gift is synergy. The siddhi is communion, really beautiful. And then the shadow frequency is dominance.
Oh, you dominant bitch.
Yeah.
No wonder. No wonder.
So bossy.
So when we're in ego and shadow, I'm such a dominant bitch, right?
Exactly. So like that's the thought process that comes in, especially when I'm leading teams of people. It's like, okay, are we being synergistic right now? Are we in communion, or am I just being a big bitch right now? You know, it's really nice to be able to contemplate on this one little piece of information and say, what am I noticing where I'm at, and what frequency I'm coming from right now?
And you know what I would say though, Lauren? Knowing you,
Yeah.
because we're good friends and you're one of my sisters and I absolutely love and adore you, I see you as this leader that's like I could see you being dominant in leadership. And I could understand how for you, whatever you got to do and go through and grow in to get to that place of dominance in a space of synergy and communion and bringing people together, because of course you have to have a leader gets to stand in their dominance and say, guys, we're here to stand. But when we don't know like how to operate in that code and that DNA of ourselves, it's like it's a thing that we're fighting. So again, if you're like, oh, people think I'm a bitch if I stand up and I tell them what to do and then it's like we hide away from it and we're running from it and we're like, oh, I can't, I know I can't. And you can see how this is why it represents a shadow. And most people don't have this beautiful gift that they run from it versus lean in and go, ooh, how does it serve me? How does it not? Where do I find that next how do I transmute dominance into synergy and communion that I am standing in it as my greatest strength? Because I can
still
only
owning your
see
power
that for
and
you. Is like, I'm like, when Ernie said dominance, I'm like, I can see you being dominant in such a beautiful way.
Right.
So I imagine it was a beautiful gift for you.
Thank you. Thank you for that so much. And I agree with a lot of that. You know, one of my biggest things this whole year, it's so funny, before I even saw this chart, my word for 2017 was communion. No joke. And I saw this and I'm like, how
beautiful.
perfect
Love
is
it.
this? I've been able to lead a team in a tech startup this whole year. And so I've been looking at this so hard every single day. It's like, what does it feel like to be in synergy? What does it feel like to be in communion? What does it feel like to be in all of them at once?
Do you find you're more grounded because of so?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was this beautiful, like, esoteric, like I knew all the things about being in the other dimensions, but I knew nothing about being hard on the ground, really seeing my projects through. Super grounded. Like, I tell everyone I humaned so hard this year.
I love that.
I did it.
I love that.
I love
Human.
that.
Oh, I
So
felt
hard.
my human.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, and the human is all of it. That's one of the crazy parts is if we're all like, this gives us a gift of seeing what are our shadows that we get to lean into and explore and grow in and love and like embrace, right? So then they become our gift and they become our cities. And most people are doing the surface self-empowerment stuff where they're like, I see a shadow, I see limitation,
Well,
and I want to
it's
convince
mindset.
myself it's not.
Yeah.
So we know mindset is like using your pinky finger, and it's like kind of like run from those things that we thought were bad in the shadow instead of seeing they're actually inner codes.
Yeah.
They're part of our system. They're what's there for our greatest gift. Because how could you stand and be this beautiful leader you are if you didn't learn to embrace dominance?
Right, and she said systems. So not only was I getting to practice that in work, that showed up in my biggest relationship this year.
Yeah.
How much am I being right now? How bitchy am I being? How passionate am I being? And seeing through this thing that just wants to transform is like really looking at myself in the mirror with that
Yeah, well,
one sphere.
I can see that in a romantic relationship,
Yeah.
how dominance versus synergy can play out as well. So
Right.
It's
That's
and that's
massive.
why I mean, and this is the thing, you know, Katarina and I are actually going to be doing a Gene Keys course coming up starting in January for 4 months, where it's like every couple weeks. So you're diving into these and you're getting to embrace them and contemplate them and learn to work through them.
Yeah, it's a key word,
and
too. We should
you
talk
know,
about
when we talk about
contemplation.
this challenge pathway is this first pathway to like, whoa, we're overcoming our challenge. That's why I looked at Dallas when I said the Venus sequence, baby. We're talking Venus sequence because we're diving so deep into the Venus sequence, which is love, relationship, and those things that unlock those codes for ultimate prosperity and ultimate, you know, love. And so we, you know, it's like we have these pathways, which maybe you could go into a little bit more.
about the 3 different,
Yeah.
Oh, you guys.
That's so beautiful. Thank you,
It's-
sweetie.
Yeah, thank you,
It's a
Lauren.
great way to
That's
bring that to
and
life.
I love how we are so different, and you know, and we can add a different angle to how you can see this transmission and this
Yeah.
teaching fit into your life. But to kind of like give you an overall perspective, we'll look into 3 key milestones in your incarnation.
Look,
We
everybody's
have-
giving you hearts.
Yeah,
Hearts,
hi
guys.
babies, hi babies, I love you. Yes, you guys. So we're looking at the highest purpose, your
Yeah.
true calling. You know, your true calling that only you're suitable to do. That's the milestone number 1. Then your high level of relationships, right? Divine partnerships beyond karmic, baby. It's time to go beyond karmic and to actually really step into the power of partnerships, which can be quite a journey for a lot of us, right? And when we heal our hearts and we can heal our relationships, yeah,
What
you guys.
relationships?
What?
Trigger
Karma?
City
What?
so that I can be healed? Yes.
That's right, because you guys, our true contribution and true prosperity can only be unlocked when we are courageous enough to witness and to face all the ways we defend our heart. We protect our heart, right? From what? From opening.
Yeah.
Opening
for more
to deeper
love, for more
love.
joy, for more connection.
Because from the moment we are born, we're
Yeah.
told to only receive love in little chunks,
Yeah.
In certain
little
ways.
scrubs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. I always say how it's like we have this mindset of like, okay, well, if they care enough, if they love me, then I'll love them. If
Yeah,
they'll do this,
trade.
then I'll open up. We're in a we operate out of transaction instead of deposit, and being like, you know, and so what we're blocking is when we go, I'll only care this much or love this much, so I won't get hurt. What you're doing is you're blocking love, and so of course what you create is a disconnect of love, and you create a sabotage of love, versus if I'm just open to love, I can only receive more love. And it's like we're on this beautiful process, and this is, I think that's such a understanding of what the Gene Keys actually opens up, because you actually love yourself more, because you actually learn to embrace all the shadows to then become your strengths, and they open up different codes and different pathways, you know, and it's like receiving the codes activate something inside of you that goes, like, you get it now, you're like, I can own my dominance. You got the code for it that works in your system. So there's no longer this, like, I don't quite understand it. That's kind of like when we're like, we're not activating our DNA to fully in our potential. We're fighting ourselves because we're in our human self, right?
Yeah. And I want to know what each one of your challenge spheres are at some point today, if you know what they are.
Totally.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Oh my God! Just
well, I was gonna say that two things. One, I would love to discuss contemplation and how the Gene Key, the beauty. What I find most beautiful about the Gene Keys in this work is that, unlike other either systems or philosophies, this literally works on you as you begin to deepen your understanding and read it.
Yeah.
So I love that it because of the way the transmission is, it starts working on you as soon as you open yourself up to it.
Yeah.
Awareness.
And the other thing that you were saying about the deeper self-love, really the ultimate goal is to get to unconditional love. And to get to unconditional love, we get to let go of all of our judgments of ourselves and of others. And
Returning to allness.
And
Unity.
Before that, what is required is understanding.
Yeah.
And what an amazing tool to more deeply understand yourself as well as those in your sphere, to then lead you to a place of non-judgment, then lead you to a place of unconditional love.
Yeah, because when you
mic drop. That was
Yeah.
that was incredible.
Because when you understand others, it's like in all the stuff we've even done where we're like in relationship, where we've looked at our energetics, we look at our communication style. I'm a figurative speaker. He's a what do you call it? Structural speaker, right? Like, and so he was laughing. Tony was laughing at us because we're setting up. Dallas is a line 1 in Gene Keys, right? Which is stabilizer and setting the field. I'm a 6, which sees all things. So I'm like flighty, and I just want to fly and not be here. And he's like
all
trying
gone.
to set up.
It's all done.
And I'm
Big
like,
picture,
it's
I
good.
see
It's all
it. It's fine.
good. It'll be
And I'm
fine.
like, no.
He's like, no, hear me out. We got it. And he's just laughing. He's
And
like,
of course, I'm a
6
line
and 1.
6, so I'm just watching everything.
Seeing the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
But this is the point. When we understand ourselves,
Yeah.
first off, then we have more like love and acceptance of ourselves. To go, I can understand why this is actually my human nature. And I think a lot of times in our human experience, we're raised from the beginning, like you said, to go, why aren't you like that? We're supposed to be this way. So we start from the time we're small going, I'm supposed to be something else. I have to work towards fixing what's broken and be something else, instead of being like, oh, this is how I operate. And comparison would be crazy because it's a thief of all joy. And so even when, and I a lot of times teach my clients that if you find understanding, you find forgiveness. Because if you understand why someone could have that perception or that thought, or why they could act a certain way, why if they were raised in an abusive family, why they might struggle with abuse, then it's not like, I can't understand that person, or I can't. Instead, you're like, I can understand why that might have come up, and that's when I find forgiveness. So there's even this gift, like you're saying, of when we understand ourselves better, and we can understand humanity better, and that's how these are one of the greatest keys to understand coming back to that remembrance of all things. Yeah.
Can I add something?
Yeah,
and
please.
I don't know if this is part of your guys' conversation on activating those spheres. And I hear you saying, like, understand first, and then what was the second part?
Forgiveness.
Yeah, non-judgment.
Non-judgment. And for me, and this is my process specifically, in between the understanding and the non-judgment is the being with.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I
Comfort
think I
in the
understand.
discomfort.
Exactly. So that's where the death comes in for me. It's like, if I'm being a dominant human being right now and it feels disgusting and I don't actually want to see myself in that way, if I choose to see myself and just be with that, it is just as a part of me as the communion is. Why should I treat it any differently? And if this energy wants to move, then I must be with it.
Well, you
and
can
then
accept
comes
it.
non-judgment.
Well, and this is where we see too, you
So
in
powerful.
that dominant space where you might have judged it as bad before, you can see how it actually can serve you.
Right.
You're like, wow. So
Right.
it is just, and you can't find that space between this is how I feel and operate in this way, and what I get with people as when I'm over here, so that you see all of it and accept all of it. That's the thing about being human that I wanted to bring up, is that humanity is being all things. We are all things. We're human. So of course we have our dark and we have our light and we have all of it. And the Gene Keys is the perfect gift of all that, right? Like the shadows, the gift, the city. What would you guys say? Because obviously, Tony, you started getting in touch with it because of this gorgeous woman as well.
Yeah, well, you know, I had came from a background of like a lot of shadow work and things, you know, and what I can relate, like what you're talking about, is you become not only aware that this is an aspect of myself, it's not the totality of myself, right? Which is really, you know, really cool distinction. But once I got exposed through it by Katarina, I started to see, again, I think you said it best. It's this consciousness map. Right? It's a map of your consciousness, and allows me to see the different areas that I can contemplate that I may not have been mindful enough to be able to contemplate. Otherwise, I might have been at the effect of instead of effective around.
Exactly.
And so, I think you had said it just a second ago. You go from transactional to transformative because you can literally be able to integrate these pieces through the contemplation and through this map. And again, I'm about radical simplicity at this point in time in my life, and I don't want to I want to contemplate. I don't want to make things more complicated.
Analyze.
Right. I only want to contemplate over what's absolutely the most important to my ability to evolve, and to not to invest so much energy in around mental masturbation, so to speak, around aspects. So to me, it's very specifically being able to, for lack of a better term, sniper in on the pieces and the areas of my life that I want to be able to shed light on and be able to grow and evolve and experience more joy in. So.
Well, and chaos always comes before clarity. And isn't that what Gene Keys gives us? That gives us, like, we feel like we're in chaos in this human experience, and then all of a sudden you see the Gene Keys, and it's like, oh, like, my first reaction response, as we were talking about our first reactions to seeing our profile, I was like, holy fuck. Like, I really was just like, oh my gosh, all of the shadows that are in my Gene Keys is exactly like, I'm like, that's been my entire life
your
experience.
shadows,
I was like, that's like the map of my childhood and my teenager, all the issues that I went through that I struggled with and grew through, those are all my shadows.
Even if you don't want to admit them, you're sitting there inside, you're looking, you're like, shit, they got it right.
And
it gives a frame and a language to it that makes it just
digestible,
so practical and
digestible and practical.
But doesn't it give you like a gift to, just like I said, when you go, oh, I'm in chaos and I can see this, when you understand, you know, like, and Katarina is so amazing at like knowing more codes, and like she's been entertaining everyone all night long.
Yeah, seriously.
Like everyone comes in, there's a whole pile of people here for, you know, like for dinner, and the whole table is just like, as Katarina is like diving into codes around like points and lines and understanding ourselves, which is so beautiful. So the gift is you see it and you go, oh wait, as I get more clarity, I can accept this, I contemplate and see how it's showing up in my life, how it's been, how it has been, you know, part of that, the thing I rejected, and I had to actually sit with it and see it and love it and accept it, and how it can serve me, and then it transmutes to my gift and to my city, and then I'm operating in my highest, greatest good for everyone, and I can understand, and then I'm in clarity. And when we're in clarity, we're in simplicity, we're in peace, we're in ease, we're in superflow consciousness. This is why it is literally a transmission of your consciousness. It's like where you're at is a state of your understanding, because when you're in that level of consciousness, why would we make anything hard? We're such powerful creators. Why would we make anything hard? Why would we put any judgments towards anyone else when you're me and I'm you? So why would I ever put anything towards you other than love and acceptance? And it just becomes simple.
Because the universe only knows the easiest way to do anything.
We're the ones who make it hard.
Easy is right.
The universe doesn't add in extra steps for the sake of an extra step.
We're the ones that's like, it's a process. I do all these things to get to abundance, and the universe is like, just the now.
So whether you call it, you know, whether you call it the universe or love energy or God or anything, it only knows the most effective, efficient way to do anything. And therefore, when you start to get to this place with this understanding, the simplicity is natural because it is the shortest path. And that's all the universe knows. It doesn't create extra steps just because.
No. And I can see why she's so passionate about it, because she knows, and you've seen, I mean, you work with it with clients, with everyone. So it's like, we're all sitting around and you're giving us little keys to understanding even more in our Gene Keys and our lines, and literally we're all popping like, cool, you know, to give us more ease and understanding.
Well, you know, you guys, nothing is more liberating than somebody confirming your area of genius, you know, without you saying, you having to say it, right? And it's so beautiful because somebody can see it through your profile, and that's why we're passionate, and sharing this wisdom teachings, because it doesn't belong to us. It belongs to everybody. We're just here to be a guide, just to save you time, save you, years and hours of that learning, and maybe going through it alone a little bit. We're here to shine the light, say, hey, let's do this together. You know what I mean?
I've had actually, since we did our last live and we talked about it, right? I've had some people that were like, I mean, in my groups and stuff, they've heard me talk a little bit about the Gene Keys. They're like, I got the book, I got the thing, and it's sat there.
Yeah,
and like, I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And so I've
Seems
known
cool.
For a while, I'm like, it would be so powerful, because I mean, I know I've studied and contemplated for a long time.
Yeah.
Took courses. He and I have
the first introduction, we took a 6-week course, and that was so valuable.
It was.
So now that you're continuing that on for others is huge.
And we've constantly looked into learned and learned. And the moment I met Katerina, I was like, she just gets us at a whole nother level and has these codes and these understandings to it, right? Yeah, he's like, Yep. And so even I had a personal client VIP day the other day, and I've told my personal clients about Gene Keys, and again, they're like, some of them have tapped into it a little bit, and she really had it. And when she finally, we sat down on VIP day and we're looking at her profile and we're going through some things, and I had my book out. My life's purpose is actually the same one as hers. So of course I have all my whole book marked up, and she happens to open it and she starts reading. She's like, she just mouth dropped. She was like, oh my gosh, she's like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, you see what I've been trying to tell you, to start studying these things. And it just it almost was this reaffirmation of like, oh, I'm not crazy, it's all right here.
Exactly.
And I'll say that, just like Marci was just saying, you can get your chart and talk to somebody about it, but it almost tells a completely different poetic story of you when you can get the book and read about the context behind what you're looking at too. So I connected to the words on the chart, but the second I read the book, I was like, whoa, I never even thought about this for that word.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I love. I mean, one of my shadows was desires, and I've been a purpose coach or assisting people with.
Did you fight that? Right?
Yeah, of course, because I always thought
that's just what our shadows are. We want to fight them.
You're here to unfold, allow your desires to come through you and to point you in the right direction, and they're coming through you for a reason. And then when I saw that it was a shadow, and the way that it explained it, it made complete sense how desire ends up being.
Do you feel like that made you go, I see how I use that as a shadow, where I wasn't even seeing that it was a shadow? So something that we sometimes think is serving us, actually we can see how it's not.
Entirely.
And how to understand how to put it all together.
So
I was going to pop in, just knowing in how this radical simplicity piece of this, so we look at some of this, and my IQs is purposelessness, totality, and immortality. And I can tell you, years ago, I understood that I was without purpose, and I was in this deep, dark place, and I still had found myself at times kind of bouncing in and out of this. But it wasn't until, again, just starting this work in January, realizing this purposelessness, which was literally a sense of.
It was just this January you started studying Gene Keys.
Yeah, just this January. Yeah.
Awesome, right?
So, and it was this area of hopelessness, where there's purposelessness, there's hopelessness, and I know how much in my life I had quote unquote battled with this, when I realized I really don't have to battle with it anymore, right? Because I know what it is. It's through through totality, and then I can find my immortality, which for me was just such a releasing opportunity. It was such an opportunity to let go. But it gives you this radically simple little, 3 aspects to review to see where the gift is in this purposelessness, and how to move through into that, and to transactionally, let go of the transaction and allow the transformation to literally happen in your life in that particular area. And it just blasts. It's amazing.
So amazing tool.
Amazing.
And these two ladies.
Yeah, we want. Come on the journey with us.
Of course.
We want to invite you guys again. We're kind of planting the seeds of curiosity, and if you feel called to explore that with us, because think about like a journey. We're gonna go on the journey. We're gonna pack our backpacks, and we're gonna unpack
with us. I mean, that's an exciting journey.
Two of us. That's right.
I'm gonna bring a fanny pack.
Dallas is gonna try to jump on my back.
Travel light.
I love it, you guys. And and our main goal is to help each one of you to see yourself in the highest light, because you here to express your genius boldly, right? And if we can help and support this activation process, wow.
And maybe deep, I mean, because so we're not just talking about, I mean, it is a contemplation. It is something that you do. And that's why we're literally like, how do we influence people the most? We're not like, oh, thanks, Bali. Hi, baby. We're not doing this like crash course. Here's the Gene Keys. It's like, because when we sat with her, we're like, what's the way that people actually allow it to imprint?
Yeah, absorb and
integrate,
embody.
right? And one of my geniuses, I mean, she's way more of an expert at this than I am. I've been studying the Gene Keys for quite a while as well, and so I have, I work with it with some clients and things, but she's way more of an expert. So she's got so much more understanding in the codes and the different ways of like going through these pathways to get to your prosperity, to get to your ultimate love relationship, to be able to understand these. And I'm more of the expert on how do we integrate, how do we imprint. So together we're really going deep diving on the process and the journey. Like she said, like getting to what's going to happen is we're going to be, doing a course online where, so anyone around the world can be able to join us, and you guys can listen in as we teach on this next step that you're going to be implementing and doing and contemplating. And 2 weeks later, we're doing it again. And 2 weeks later, we're doing it again. And we're going through the pathways and the process. So literally over a 4-month process.
4 months,
4
babies.
months.
2 of us.
4 months.
Can you take it?
Right? Only people that are like, bring it,
No.
I'm in, I want the codes, I want all of it now. And guys, if I could just, there's not really, it's a challenge for me to put to words the gift that's really available in getting these codes, right? And we were talking about earlier being around people, like being like whenever I have my clients are just around me, I don't ever plan anything on a VIP date. I'm like, it'll all come through, right? We're just like, it'll all come through, whatever we're supposed to do. Line 1, sixes.
Yeah.
Sixes, we're in the moment,
Yeah,
baby.
right?
But we've got the structure for you,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
We've got the structure
Yes.
for you.
Yeah,
4
you're so
months.
good at structure, actually. And
Yeah.
my point being, when my clients are around me, they're like, just being around you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, just being around you,
get
I
the
get
codes.
it, and it shifts.
true.
And you said the same thing.
So
And
true.
so, when you're actually in the environment that you get the understanding the codes, also it opens up things for you that you're just like, there's no more struggle. There's no more have to. So if it does call to you to be like, how do I want to say, like, it's just about making it easier. It's about, we're here to assist each other in ascension.
That's right.
Our only job here is to discover and express our full divinity. Just like you look at your codes and what you're here for, to like all your messes become your message and your wounds become your strength.
So good.
And all of that, right? And it's like you're here in this whole human experience that you are getting those codes to fully stand in that place of just your divinity. And that's what we're here for. And so when you get to understand your own divine codes, we're not just here, preaching some strategy for all people. It's like, this is your uniqueness. This is the gift of your own unique codes and the things that will assist you in being able to allow yourself to open up to that divinity and receive even more.
That's right, my loves. That's right, you guys. And it's going to be
We got the sunset going down
the
even for us.
sunset's
You
going
guys
down.
can see this? It's like, oh.
So you guys, the main thing, if it calls
List
you,
lights are on.
it's
Good
it's
job,
literally like, out of so many people that I talk to about the Gene Keys, I really notice it's a certain level of readiness and willingness to receive this transmission, because you are signing up for a new trajectory of life.
The moment you sign up,
It's a new trajectory of life. You know what I mean?
It will completely shift.
Right?
Yeah.
All of us
Yeah.
had this really powerful, experiential result. It would feel so disappointing for us to give you more data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. This is the living sculpting of this new you that is about to emerge, and we're emerging with you.
Yeah, true. Cool.
Living transmission.
Put
Living
It
transmission.
definitely is.
a button on it.
Button it. Yeah, that was good.
That
Okay.
was a mic drop
All
button.
right, you guys.
Yeah. Well, I think what you're saying is
I'm
you're ready
saying,
for
like-
dessert.
No, I'm saying.
Daz is like, are we done?
Yeah, the first line is done, but the sixth line keeps going.
Yeah.
We can
Wait a minute. One more thing.
One
Yeah.
more thing.
Oh wait.
Okay, darlings. We are on 3 different video cameras. If what you heard rang true for you, I always say trust the inner yes.
What you're feeling. It
What
might
you're
not make
feeling.
sense. You're like, codes, I don't understand you
It won't
people.
make logical
and Gene Keys
Yeah.
and all of this. It never logically makes sense. And
Yeah.
it's more like, it's a remembrance. It's something you feel. So if you feel it, you're like, All right, and even if it's like, hey, I want to be able to be in an experience where I could feel my divinity and feel full of light and all these things, and knowing, and you see that it's possible. I always say for people, some of us have never known that it's possible or experienced that it's possible. When you can see evidence that it's possible, what would keep you, what is more sacred than your life experience?
Oh,
What
so
is
good.
more sacred? That's the greatest investment you can ever make in yourself. And believe me, we're doing this really cheap too, because we want to like
Yes.
serve so many people with this. So
We
if
wanted
this
to
just
make it
calls,
accessible for people.
That's right. It's very accessible. Very accessible. That's the word for it.
Yes.
So if it does call to you guys, message Katerina and I. That look, I have like a Katerina.
It's like Brangelina over here.
I know. I just saw that. Message Katerina.
They are literally one.
So imagine 4 months with us,
I
you
know.
guys.
So much funness.
Yeah,
right?
it's gonna be funness and greatness.
Yeah.
Lots of love.
Yeah.
And you know, we would love to take you with us and just let's go on the journey together. If it calls you guys, you just say yes and
Message us. We'll
Message
get
us.
you some details. We're allowing that.
our
to,
landing page is almost ready.
Wait, say that
We're
again.
old fashioned, you know
That
what?
was
We're old
sexy.
fashioned. We're like direct message. We're very approachable.
You don't need funnels and landing pages.
You don't need an
it.
application page, baby.
No, we just
unless
choose
you
who's
want
ready.
it.
Uh-huh.
I will give you one.
You want to go through it?
But this is the simplest funnel you can find on internet.
Yeah.
It's Marci and Katerina.
Marci and Katerina, we're here to deliver some goodies. Do you want the goodies?
They
Yes.
want
Do
the
you want the
greatest
greatness?
messages.
Message them.
Yes.
Two clowns in one show.
Yes.
Here we are. You gotta have a humor, baby. You gotta laugh. So what you can count on is really engaging, transformative, interactive journey with two transformational leaders who are really diving deep. A lot of fun. We're gonna crack amazing jokes.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
Right?
don't stop. And you know, and just really seeing you and your genius and your gifts and your power and your mark in the world in a whole new light.
Yeah.
That's what we want to
And even the
invite you.
space of you guys being able to then go through the understanding and ask questions. Having an expert to ask specific questions. Okay,
It's
like
live,
on my
baby.
GMT here and this profile, and what does the point mean? And being able to ask, I mean, like, that's what most of us are seeking, right? We're like studying it ourselves, reading the book, and we're like, And when you get that feedback and you get that being able to ask those questions, that is so invaluable.
And
So
having
I'm
the
super
guide.
excited about that. Yeah, the
Having
guide.
the guide.
Being able to be guided through it, to be able to like implement it and do it now. So yeah.
All right,
Lots
you
of
guys.
goodies.
Love
you guys.
so much.
Line
Bye-bye.
one,
Yay.
with you. Bing, hearts, love.
Which line turns the video off?
That one, the first line. That one does.
The
See, that's
first
why I was
line.
like first line being. We'll
Yeah.
just keep waiting. Being. Look at his face.
And we